Think of the person who fills a free Saturday within 10 minutes of waking up. Errands, a workout, a call they have been meaning to make, background noise the second they walk through the door. They will reorganize a drawer that did not need reorganizing before they will sit on the sofa with nothing in their hands. Ask that person to do nothing for an afternoon and watch what happens to their face. It is not discipline, and it is not really ambition either, even though it often gets praised as both. For a specific kind of person, stopping does not feel like rest. It feels like standing at the edge of something, without knowing what is underneath. The stillness itself is not the problem, it is what the stillness makes room for. Psychologists have a name for the discomfort of unstructured time: idleness aversion. In one well-known test, people could sit and wait, doing nothing, or complete a task that served no real purpose. Left with no excuse, most chose to wait. But hand them even a flimsy reason to stay busy, and most switched immediately. Afterward, the busy group reported feeling happier than the idle group, even though nothing they had actually done had mattered. One explanation comes from researchers who study boredom directly. They define boredom not as having nothing to do, but as a failure of attention, the mind wanting to engage with something, anything, and finding no foothold. That is why the discomfort so often shows up as a body in motion before the mind has caught up with why. A phone checked for no reason, a tab refreshed, a lap taken around the room for nothing in particular. For some people, stillness is not peaceful. It is the felt experience of attention with nowhere to land. A well-known set of experiments published in the journal Science left people alone in a room for around 15 minutes with nothing to do but think. Given the option, a notable number chose to give themselves a mild electric shock rather than sit with their own thoughts, the same shock they had said minutes earlier they would pay money to avoid. What people actually did in that room is not in dispute. Why they did it is more debated. Other psychologists went back through the same data and found that many participants actually described their thoughts as pleasant, not miserable. So the shock was not always about escaping torment. Even so, the underlying pull is hard to argue with. Doing something, even something unpleasant, was for many people easier to tolerate than doing nothing at all. There is a useful distinction hiding inside all of this, the difference between drive and flight. Drive moves you towards something, a goal, a person, a piece of work you actually care about. Flight moves you away from something, a feeling you do not want to sit alone with. From the outside, drive and flight look identical. Two people can work the exact same long hours, sit in the exact same meetings, send the exact same late-night emails, same full calendar, same tired satisfaction at the end of the day. The difference only shows up in what happens when the activity is taken away. This tracks with decades of research on anxiety. Researchers studying generalized anxiety disorder have found that worry itself functions as a form of avoidance, a way of staying in language, in planning, in the head, so the body never has to fully register the feeling underneath it. Constant mental motion keeps a more uncomfortable state at arm's length. Physical busyness can do the same job. The to-do list is not only a to-do list. It is a wall. Take the wall down, even for an afternoon, and whatever was being held back does not disappear. It surfaces. For some people, that is grief they never fully sat with. For others, it is a low-grade dread about a relationship, a career, a version of their life they have not looked at directly in years. It rarely arrives as one clear thought. More often, it is a heaviness in the chest, a restlessness with no obvious cause, an urge to reach for the phone within seconds of the silence starting. The busyness was never really hiding the feeling from the world. It was hiding the feeling from them. That has a measurable cost. A large analysis pooling results across dozens of studies found workaholism strongly linked to burnout and to conflict at home, along with sleep difficulties, despite showing no meaningful link to actual job performance. Put plainly, the extra hours were not making the work better. They were just making the person running them harder to reach. The busyness was not buying the results it seemed to promise, it was buying distance. Part of what makes this pattern so persistent is that the culture around it applauds it. Researchers studying status and consumer behavior have found that across much of North America, looking visibly busy and short on leisure time now reads as a status symbol, a sign that you are in demand, that your time is valuable. A relaxed schedule, by contrast, increasingly reads as a lack of ambition. So the person filling every hour is not only avoiding a feeling, they are being rewarded for it in public at the same time, which makes the pattern almost impossible to question from the inside. Why would you interrupt something everyone keeps calling impressive? None of this means a full calendar is automatically a symptom. Plenty of busy people are simply, genuinely pursuing something they love, and finishing something they built is one of the better feelings available to a person. The real distinction is not how much you do, it is what happens in the 10 minutes after you stop. If stopping brings something like relief, that is drive. If stopping brings something closer to dread, that is worth a closer look, not as a flaw, but as information. Calm that only shows up when you are moving is not calm. It is outrunning. Staying busy does not make the feeling disappear. It only delays the moment you finally have to sit with it. That feeling has been trying to reach you the whole time you were too busy to listen. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If this video gave you something to think about, do one small thing. Subscribe to Cool My Mind Psychology. Every video here unpacks the hidden psychology behind how we think, feel, and act, and subscribing is how you'll never miss the next one. Take care of your mind, and I will see you in the next video.